Right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. All four sides of us as a whole. This is In The Image Clothing Company Dogs, one of our fourths. And in this video, I'm going to go over the benefits of slip leads. Okay, slip leads are kind of like a slip knot, if you will. Is this still filming? Just making sure. Oh, it is. We're good. And I don't have any problem with how that just went because we're raw, real, authentic here in the Image Clothing Company. Something popped up on the screen of what I'm filming this with, and I didn't know if it had stopped recording or what. But slip leads, as I was saying, it's like a slip knot in a sense for a dog, okay? When it comes to using it as a collar and lead in one combination, right? Often you have a leash and then you attach that to the collar that's already on the dog. But I'll go over the benefits to a slip lead, talk about some things, because I know some people think they're a dangerous thing for dogs, and in ways, but anything could be a dangerous thing for anything in ways. So I'll get into it, but this is one of our fourths, as I said. In the Image Clothing Company Dogs, our slogan is letting dogs stay natural. We live in 2025 currently. Today's the 30th of April, and going forth, it's only going to get more so this way. There's unnatural materials in our clothing, in dog accessories, dog toys, collars, leashes, harnesses. As far as just the material alone, there's imbalances in collars, leashes, harnesses, all things for dogs, weight-wise that are placed onto them, size-wise that are placed onto them, and dehydrated foods, kibble, right? Extracting water from foods, very unnatural. So we allow the dogs to just be dogs, okay? And we talk about it thoroughly. Also, we will have collars and leashes, and then whatever else we get into product-wise under In The Image Clothing Company for dogs. Now, one other fourth of us is the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, where it all started and still our main side. We, key word, allow the human body to work. We come at it through clothing. There's a center line to the human being, a sternum, a spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, which naturally stabilizes the entire body. We have to stay centered because, as I have been saying, we're just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, aka the human being placed onto Earth. So 100% natural materials, staying centered, and fitting correct is how we allow, keyword, the human body to work through clothing. In the Image Clothing Company clothing, okay, when it's available. As of today's date, it isn't yet. There's another fourth of us in the Image Clothing Company podcast. I get into deep, raw, real, blunt, bold discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all human beings, we're all on the same earth. I just discuss things as they are, talk about God, and we get into it. So it's a beautiful place to see if you'd like to. We've got 114 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of last night. There you go. One other fourth is In the Image Clothing Company music. I show how to get the proper size and setup of guitar to not alter the body. Our hands are what we use to play guitar, and our hands are essentially our shoulders. As the feet are essentially the hips, the body only works as a whole. So there you go. Also, music that I've made is placed on In the Image Clothing Company music. Now, In the Image Clothing Company dogs, where we're at currently, we will also have standard purebred poodles being bred by us, our whole breeding program under In the Image Clothing Company dogs. It'll be proper. Dogs will be genetic tested before they're bred. All of our puppies will be microchipped. Every dog that we give to an owner will go through a screening process, so they go to a proper home. It's a 15-year give or take commitment, like adopting a child when you do get a new dog into your family. So the video on In the Image Clothing Company dogs, titled When the Standard Poodle Puppies Come, ... gives a lot of context on that, as far as conditions on who the puppies will go to. But if you'd like one, potentially you could when the litters do come, okay, when we have puppies available. So yes, proper registered dogs, okay? Slip leads. Slip leads are something that get a bad rap. People talk bad about slip leads. They just say often that they're choking the dog, that they're strangling the dog. You can hurt the dog, you can just suffocate it or kill it, and by all means, you could. But it's like a lot of the things we talk about under all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company. It comes down to taking accountability. And you, as the owner of the dog, as the handler of the dog, if you're holding a leash and it happens to be a slip lead, you have to do everything you can to just be intentional about not hurting the dog. But you can strangle a dog with a collar. You can strangle a dog with a blanket. I mean, anything. But if you have the intentionality to learn how to properly use the tool of the slip lead and get in touch with your own dog or whatever dog you're handling, then slip leads are awesome. Slip leads get used in dog shows. They get used for training horses. I went to the dog shelter over here many days that I go there, a couple months ago, give or take, and I just hung out with a lot of dogs over there. I'd take them outside. They had dog runs in the back. They have slip leads there, and you just slip knot, quote unquote, onto the dog, and you just pull and it tightens around the dog snugly, right? Not strangling it, but places like that. It's a professional dog shelter where a dog goes if it's been lost to be housed until it finds a new home. Places that ideally dogs never end up, right? I'm gonna step slightly closer for the wind noise. I feel/hear the wind. So slip leads just need to be used correct. Just like everything in our lives, like everything that we do, we need to understand it. It's windy. To every ounce that we can. And I want to be able to say this. Almost certainly, and I'll leave it at that for now, almost certainly we will have slip leads available under In The Image Clothing Company for dogs, because I do love them. Personally, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, our whole goal for all four sides of the company is natural. And I have the experience and understanding that I do in the ways that I do. Being the founder of all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company, I really love slip leads. But you just need to look at yourself. Look at the man in the mirror, right? I've talked about Michael Jackson's song, Man in the Mirror, a lot on In The Image Clothing Company podcast. It's up to you, the one placing the man-made slip lead onto the animal designed by God. It's up to you to take accountability for anything that happens to that dog once you've placed a slip lead around its neck. But same goes for a harness or a collar. Same goes for just how you feed your own dog, what type of toys you give your dog, all the things, right? Giving your dog enough exercise that it personally needs, because dogs are different and individual in that way. It's up to the owner or the handler, caretaker of the dog to take the accountability. So the beautiful thing about slip leads is it's a positive reinforcement. And sometimes it's seen on the opposite end, but that's not the case. It is a positive thing. What happens is when the dog starts to pull farther than the rope of the lead will allow, it will tighten around the dog and pretty well evenly around the whole neck of the dog. And the way that it's a positive reinforcement and a positive training way of getting your dog to walk closer to you, training a heel, just keeping your dog by you, right? Or just having your dog be obedient in general, slip leads are great. They really are when we look at it as it is and when we use them properly, okay? Just meaning carefully, intentionally, deliberately, right? Not just willy-nilly throwing it around your dog and dragging your dog. Yeah, you could very much damage your dog's neck, but it's a positive thing to have your dog get to the end of the leash, slip lead, okay? Have that tightening happening, and then once it gets closer to you and backs off of that pull, right, then it loosens. What it's doing is training your dog that the closer it stays to you, the less physical discomfort it feels. Because with a collar and a leash, dogs can just keep pulling and they'll keep pulling. And if the leash gets slack into it, dogs might not really be able to quite perceive what's happening as far as the difference between pulling directly on their trachea here. There's an airplane. I was hearing it, but I didn't know what it was, so I looked back. There's a little remote control airplane flying around right here, just a small one. Dogs might not really be able to quite understand that pulling from a collar with a leash on it versus just some slack in the leash, but then still the weight of the collar on them, right? They might not be able to tell so well the difference between them pulling versus just something on their neck, because collars can be heavy. There's a video on In the Image Clothing Company Dogs titled "Keeping Dog Collars Light," and a slip lead actually just gets lighter the closer the dog gets to you, kind of, right? Because a collar placed around the neck of the dog, it's always going to have the same amount of tension that it does just because it's snugly around the neck of the dog. But a slip lead will actually loosen to feel free when the dog is close enough to you where there's no tension being placed on it. So it's a positive thing, and the dog will be able to learn because they'll be able to associate getting closer to you with relaxing, right? Freedom around the neck, being able to breathe easier, because a lot of times the dogs are doing it to themselves. If you just have a collar on the dog and a leash on it and the dog's pulling, no matter how uncomfortable it is on the trachea of the dog, it might just keep pulling. But the slip lead, there really is such a difference between the feeling of tightening of the lead when the dog does pull versus it actually loosens when the dog doesn't pull. So it just needs to be seen correct. It's not a punishment by any means. It's actually on the opposite end, because we always want our dogs to look at us as their highest importance. Dogs are pack animals. We, as the owner of the dog, need to be the alpha dog for our dog to listen to us, for our dog to be obedient and learn the commands that we are teaching them, okay? Otherwise, the dog's just maybe thinking it's its own thing and he can do whatever he wants, she can go wherever she wants. We need to be the one in charge, because we are, of our dog, okay? So in a lot of ways, that's just going to reinforce you being the dog's focus, because physically less discomfort comes when they come to you, right? On a slip lead. So there you go. I said what I said about In the Image Clothing Company having slip leads, as far as almost certainly we will. Yeah, I just don't want to make any promises for things that I don't know for sure as of yet. So there you go. But standard poodle puppies, purebred, AKC registered, proper dogs, microchipped, right? Brought up correct, introduced to sights, sounds, and noises, which are sounds, but also smells, right? All the things that we do when breeding puppies as good breeders out there, that others do as well, is what I mean. We will do that. Our breeding program will be very proper under In the Image Clothing Company dogs. So stick around if you'd like. A lot to come, if and where, okay? That if is no, certainly, but just not trying to have expectations, but stick around, stop back in, as I say, right? And there you go. Slip leads, they're really cool because they're just so efficient. Trying to grab your dog and wrangle him by the collar, wrangle her by the collar, and throw a leash on and get the little thing and put it right on the loop, and right, sometimes it's like a whole process. But a slip lead, if you can get this loop over the neck of the dog and cinch it down, you're done, right? Your dog's out here, let's say, and where you're at, it's legally and totally fine to have your dog off leash, but then somebody comes by or another dog shows up, and just to like have a first interaction, for example, you want to get your dog on the leash just so that you can, you know, be in control of what's going on in the ways that you can, right? Throwing a slip lead onto the dog, it's seriously as simple as, hey, come here. The dog comes, throw the slip lead on that quick. Like, no exaggeration. It's like a cowboy's lasso. It really is. It's actually the exact same thing, literally. Yeah, that's what it is. For context, because some people might not have known what a slip lead even was until this video. So, yeah, right. As quickly as you can get it around the neck of the dog, you've got the dog on a lead. Okay, very convenient, very quick, and the beauty of it too is on the opposite end of what I just said, the hypothetical, you need to put a leash on the dog super quick. If you're somewhere and you start on a hike, for example, right, up in the mountains, and you don't have to have your dog on a leash in certain areas where it's just, there's no like legal reason, and there's just about nothing else around. Especially if your dog's pretty well trained, right? It's ideal to have the dogs off leash and off collar even in all ways that we can when it's allowed as far as where we're at, right? But yeah, you start on a hike with a slip lead, and you can just take it off just so easily. Just reach down, loosen it, pull it off, maybe throw it over your shoulder, throw it around your own waist or something, right? Don't alter your body now once you've like, right? But yeah, just, that's what I mean. Like the simplicity of taking it off or putting it on, and the other things I've said within here. And we'll just talk about it when we do, because there's a lot of benefits to slip leads, and people just hear things often and they'll just make a judgment, or somebody will say something and they'll just believe it, right? We have to look at things as they are to the best of what we can do. And that's what we do under In The Image Clothing Company in all four sides. We're sinful by nature, right? I'm not always going to be discussing everything perfect or relaying information that I just know in any way that could be perfect, right? But slip leads, okay? There's some misconceptions cleared and some benefits to having a slip lead, okay? All right, today's the 30th of April, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. And there's four sides to us. We do a lot, we really do. So stick around if you'd like. InTheImageClothingCompany.com is our central hub when the website's up, okay? For everything, it all comes to that 5-word company name, okay? As a whole, In The Image Clothing Company, okay? So, thank you. Bye. Oh, yeah, see, it says something on the screen. That's what it did earlier, and I was like, I don't know, so I checked it, but thank you.